So who played Gooseberry by holidaying with his ex and her new man? It was Hugh Grant.
I've been divorced, that's why I'm reading the Scotter's Handbook. Right. Three's a crowd. This is absolutely, cross my heart, honestly true. Can you help solve a real-life dilemma faced by one of the Right Stuff team? Our guest-getter extraordinaire, Leanne, has been dating boyfriend John for 8 months. They are sickeningly lovey-dovey and touchy-feely, OK? Earlier this year, they and 2 other couples booked a beautiful but secluded villa in Portugal for a 2-week break. Oh. But then things went wrong. First, one of the couples broke up and pulled out of the trip. Then, a little later, a second couple split. But instead of pulling out of the trip, John's best mate, Matt, still wants to come. Our Leanne, though, is not that keen on having a good... Oh, look at them. They're a beautiful couple as well, aren't they? Leanne... very touchy-feely. Nice boobs.
Been eating his green.
Exactly. Leanne is not very keen on having a gooseberry on board. Leanne feels that John should tell Matt to sling his hook, but John feels totally indebted to his friend, who he says was there for him when he was having a rough patch himself. Matt, for his part, says he's not going to be a gooseberry because he's going to take his golf clubs with him, fueling Leanne's fear that she's going to end up on her own for 2 weeks while the boys go golfing together. So, is three a crowd? It's a great one, isn't it? What would you do, Andy? What would you do?
He'd have to come. He'd have to.
Why?
Well, I mean, you know, if he's had your back for all those years, do you know what I mean? And he's going through a bit of a rough time. You know, you have to bring
Villa
him.
in the middle of nowhere. If there's a villa in town...
Imagine him weeping into his glass of wine every night while she's
You've got to be
there
there for him, do you know what I mean? He must be, you know, going through some form of pain. So, you know, golf clubs in the back of the the car.
And you think he could go off and play golf on his own? He'd be perfectly happy, he wouldn't...
Well, you know, you'd have to, I think, have an arrangement and just say, look, listen, I am with the missus. Come on now. You know, I'll spend a few hours with you a day, but majority of the time I'm going to be with the, you know, my touchy-feely.
OK. Go on, Larry.
Always a disaster waiting to happen, isn't it? OK, no man takes his golf clubs on holiday. I think he's going to play golf on his own. Of course he wants to play golf with his friend. I mean, I would slightly turn it around and say there comes a point in a relationship where you deliberately invite an extra person as a buffer between you. I've been that buffer on holiday, and you arrive and it's like, whoa, there's World War III going on. You're thinking, oh, God. And then you feel sorry for the person who's come as the buffer. In this case, it's all very unfortunate. Apparently he's paid as well, so he's paid his money. Could they afford the villa without him?
He was invited, OK?
Yes, as part of a couple. It's a very different thing.
I think he should offer not to go. I think that's what you should really do, is be the gentleman, sort of say, look, chaps, if you want to be on your own... Sorry, not the chaps. If the couple want to be on their own, I'll volunteer to sort of, you know...
villa without his money either, because it's a secluded villa for 6, now there's only going to be 2 of them.
Why don't they take a friend? Why don't they take a female friend and have an orgy?
Well, because she would feel she was being served up for him.
Come on, get your priorities right.
Do you think she's going to be a golf widow on her own holiday, Leanne?
Unless, if I was her, I would say, OK, he's paid his money, he can come, but between her and her boyfriend, not including him, you set a rule before you go, OK, between this hour and this hour, you can do what you like, but this is the time we spend together. And every dinner is not a dinner for 3. It can't be. And then you have him on his little table on his own going...
I do want you to know, by the way, we have asked all the players' permissions to talk about this because, you know, they kind of said yes, and we kind of asked them in, you know, a kind of way. So, you know, I'm not uncomfortable about talking about it.
When do they go? Soon?
Yeah.
Can we find out afterwards how it went? I'd really like to know.
There are so many principles, so many principles. I mean, one, they invited him. And I think the fact he was a couple is after the fact. He was invited at the time he was in a couple. They said yes, but it wasn't specifically, you can come as a couple, but if you split up, you can't. They invited him. But, you know, lovey-dovey relationship, I can't think of anything worse than having a bloke at the end. You know?
Yeah. If I was him, I think I'd be the one that sort of says, you know what, I just feel a bit yucky.
I wouldn't want to go if I was him. I would go fly fishing on my own and take up a great new sport and, you know, travel the world.
But if he's very outgoing himself, you know, he should find himself something to do.
Maybe Leanne should play golf. Then they could all go on the golf course together.
Oh, lovely.
Isn't that a threesome? Is that what they call it in golf? I think it is. No, 3-way.
3-ball.
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 Right.
Unfortunate phrase.
OK, thank you. So, what would you do? Should John go on... No, Matt go on holiday with the rest of us. Let's hear what you have to say.
We're going to go to Giuliano's with John right now. on line 1.
Hello, Giuliano. This is going to be embarrassing.
Hello, Matthew.
Hello.
I work with John every day.
Right.
I just saw that picture of Matt and John that you had up on the screen.
Yeah.
John should be saying to Matt, I'm sorry, mate, you can't come along. I suspect these two might be having a gay relationship. Yeah, that's the photo, yeah.
There are laws governing libel, you do realise that, of course, Giuliano.
That's right. No, but on a serious note, Matt should say, I'm sorry, I don't want to get in your way of your first romantic holiday away together.
It is their
And
first
I'm
holiday.
questioning why John hasn't got the guts to say to Matt, look, sure, my girlfriend comes first. She doesn't want you coming along playing gooseberry.
Because Matt was there for John. I can see why John wouldn't do that. I think if I've got this right, John stayed on Matt's sofa for 3 months when he was single after being dumped.
Girlfriends do come and go, and friends are forever, and all that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but John's just pathetic like that.
OK, Giuliano, I'll tell you what, he's lucky to have a friend like you, mate. Thank you for the call. Let's have another.
We've got Maggie on line 2. She's had the same situation as Leanne.
Ah, Maggie, good morning.
Hi, Matthew.
Hi there. So what happened?
It happened twice, actually, a similar situation, not nowhere near as glamorous as the Portuguese villa. But last year, my husband and I had arranged a trip away with my friend and her husband. Yeah. And before the trip, it was only a weekend away, but before the trip, my friend and her husband fell out. So the husband came with us. I have never been so attended to in all my life because my husband wanted to leave people in no doubt that I was with him and not with the other guy. So he was just the most attentive he's ever been. You know, I had to come up for air. It was in fact, just getting nervous. But also on the same thing, a couple of years ago, we went away, and we went away abroad for a week, and my sister actually came out and joined us for a couple of days, and the same again. He was so attentive because, on the other hand...
But, Maggie, what about dinners out and stuff like that? I mean, and bear in mind, Leanne and John have been together like 8 months and they're all over each other. It's disgusting. But, I mean, you know, they want to go out and have dinner. Do they really want somebody else there looking at them?
Well, to be honest, if it's anything like my husband was with me, then he'll probably say, you know, you two need to go and get a room, and he'll leave them to it anyway. He'll take the hint.
OK.
When we went away and my sister joined us, my husband was so attentive because he didn't want people thinking he was with my sister. Because he just simply doesn't fancy her.
All right, OK. I tell you what, you're obviously all going on in there, isn't it? You learn things on this show. Thank you for that, Maggie. Amy?
We've got Lynn on line 3, and she thinks relationships come first.
Lynn, good morning.
Good morning, Matthew.
What should he say, then? You can't come on holiday?
Indeed.
Even though he lived on that guy's sofa for 3 months when he had his heart broken?
Well, times change and situations change and people change and you have to move on. And I would suggest, if I was in that situation, that if I was John, or I think that was his name,
yeah.
I would say to the friend, look, I am really sorry about this, but this is the situation my end. I appreciate your friendship in the past and I still do and I value it and I want to continue it. Yeah. However, the boundaries I have with my girlfriend that I've just in a recent relationship with must come first because that's my, you know, my future.
Lynn, they invited him. You can't uninvite someone, can you?
Yes, you can. You can change your mind.
Can you?
Loyalty.
It is harder. Let's say that couple break up, and then he's lost his best mate,
yeah.
and you know...
No, I disagree, I'm sorry, because if they're really true friends, then friends will understand both sides. It's called give and take, basically.
Yeah, give him a holiday and then take it away.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Not right.
You say loyalty.
Oh,
and I think even Larry said, right, Larry, no friend of the male sex, let's be honest. She said, you know, that girls come and go, but friendships survive.
Because if we were reversing it and we're talking about a girlfriend who had, you know, I would say to her, you can't just dump your girlfriend, you see. You can't, you know, it's, you know, that thing where you're waiting for the call from the guy and you arrange to go to cinema with your girlfriend and the guy calls, you don't ring your girlfriend and say, we're not going to cinema, I'm going out with him. You don't do that.
And seriously, the idea that maybe she should bring a female friend, what do we think of
Because
that?
that female friend will think she's just being served up to this guy, won't she?
What's wrong with that?
Because she may not want to be served up to. She might not
Well, she
fancy
can always
him.
say no and then go out for a quiet dinner together.
Go
Maybe
play
get to know.
golf.
Yeah, go and play golf.
I still think that the mate, if he's a real mate, if it was a mate of mine, I'd expect him to say, look, would you rather I bail out of
OK,
this
let's wrap this up by throwing to our audience, if we can. Let's have a show of hands, just so we can get some definitive. Right. Should he be allowed to go on holiday? Hands up who thinks he should go on holiday. Oh, right, OK. That is quite a lot of people. The majority think he should go. We've got some indecisions, arms going up and down. You don't know whether you're in or out, do you? It's like being a Lib Dem. OK, so let's carry them. He should go on holiday, according to our audience. Thank you very much for that.
And have a good time as
Have a
well.
good time, yeah.